Not too long ago, I stood at the precipice of a star-streaked sky, the twin suns of Takara 5 painting the horizon in shades of molten gold and crimson. I remember how the light felt like fire on my skin, igniting the desperation tightening in my throat. Sweat slicked my palms as I gripped the casing of the archaic data module, the one imbued with secrets that could unravel the very fabric of intergalactic alliances. A truth so immense it could shake the foundations of the Alliance Council and ignite wars that I'd been trying to avoid my entire life. "Are you sure this is the right place, Ilara?" Ejerk's voice dripped with skepticism, grounding me as he stood a few paces behind, tension radiating from his taut frame. His eyes, those piercing emeralds that should have held the adoration of countless admirers, were narrowed in mistrust. Faintest hint of irritation crested his features, a flash of the old jerk I couldn't afford to lose. I cast a sideways glance at him, swallowing hard against the lump of uncertainty in my throat. "I'm sure." My voice cut through the stillness, but it was underlined by the tremor of doubt. One wrong move and everything I'd worked for the peace negotiations with Kumar, the fragile truce with Nick's forces, would absolutely collapse. Moreover, I could not shake the feeling that we were being watched. The wind picked up, sweeping through the copper-hued landscape, rustling the sharp, alien flora that surrounded us. The Quarnka trees, with their crystalline leaves, towered like twisted sentinels, and the air was thick with the sweet, musky scent of their sap, an intoxicating mix that reminded me of home, yet felt so far away. The soundscape of distant howls from unseen creatures bore witness to my growing anxiety. "It's the only option we have. We need a way to leverage the Vine Ear's fragile allegiance with the Coalition," I replied, attempting to sound resolute, though I felt anything but. I could feel Jerk's eyes narrowing with every hesitant word I uttered. He had never been one for conspiracy theories, always the reliable anchor in chaotic waters, grounding me when my imagination threatened to spiral beyond reason. But this time, even his optimism was a fading light. "Well, or it will lead us into a trap," he shot back, arms crossed defensively. Confusion and anger swirled within him, thickening the air that separated us. "They might already know we're here. We shouldn't have come. We should hand the module over to the Council and allow them to handle it." I caught my breath and turned toward him fully, our faces mere inches apart, sunlight carving sharp silhouettes that highlighted the tension pooling between us. "And risk them burying the truth in the same shadows that have shrouded their deceit for centuries." I couldn't erase the edge of desperation from my tone. "They don't care about the truth unless it serves them. Don't you see? We have to take risks if we want to change things." His expression softened, though the defiance lingered in his posture. The tension radiating from him mirrored my internal battle. Jerk and I had always shared this crisscross of loyalty and conflict. Friends since childhood on the windswept ruins of Terra Nova, we were forged in the fires of survival, but the weight of our shared past often felt unbearable. This tension always threatened to rupture our fleeting moments of peace. Footsteps approached, heavy and steady, and we both tensed. Jerk's fingers curled, readying his pulse pistol, an instinctive move that snapped my attention back to our immediate danger. I felt a heat rise in my chest, not just from fear, but an overwhelming surge of protective instinct. "Stay behind me," Jerk commanded, his voice low, rich with authority but laced with concern. Before I could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows of the trees, tall and imposing, skin shimmering with iridescent scales that reflected the sunset hues. They were a Nyxian, unmistakable with its angular features and predatory grace. I recognized the insignia of an interstellar operative emblazoned across its chest, the insignia that marked them as the Council's right hand in dealing with insurgents like me. A step aside, the Nyxian rasped, revealing rows of serrated teeth as their lips curled into a predatory grin. "You'll both want to come with me." "We're not going anywhere," I declared. The adrenaline shot through my veins, igniting fire in my marrow. I lifted the data module, feeling its weight as if it was a live creature thrumming with secrets and threats. This was my leverage, my only chance to find out how deep the council's lies ran, and who was really pulling the strings. Is that so? The Nixian's tone dripped with malevolence. You really think you understand the truth? You think it can save you? All it does is feed the fires of war. Fear churned into a bold resolve. What we're exposing could save lives. I shouted back defiantly. It's larger than you think. This isn't just about us. The Nixian laughed, a dark and rumbling sound reverberating through the trees. How naive. You have no idea how many empires will shatter at the unveiling of that truth. In that moment, I understood the gravity of what lay ahead, the ripples we would create in our quest for the truth. Jarek's protective stance beside me had morphed into something else, a solidarity that I clung to as the Nixian approached. The stakes were higher than either of us had anticipated, and my resolve sharpened. Whatever it took, I had to uncover the lies that bound us all. The moment the figure lunged forward, I propelled myself into action, adrenaline surging in my veins. In the chaos that followed, my mind was racing, but one thing was clear. Uncovering the truth meant navigating a treacherous path littered with dark secrets, and I could no longer trust anyone, not even myself. The valley erupted with chaos as the Nixian lunged at us, fury etched into its crystalline features. I barely had time to react, but instinct kicked in. I hurled the data module, a calculated throw aiming for the nearest Quarnka tree, a decision born from desperation. The impact sent a shower of bright shards flying through the air, catching the reflection of the setting suns. The Nixian paused momentarily, its gaze flickering toward the explosion of light, and in that instant, Jarek seized the opportunity. He leaped toward the Nixian, his pulse pistol drawn, but it was more than just a weapon. It was an extension of his will, a bridge between life and death. "Ilara, go," he shouted, his voice a thunderclap, filled with urgency. Without thinking, I scrambled to grab the module from where it had fallen, heart pounding in my ears. I couldn't lose it, not now, not when the truth it held could change everything. The Nixian sidestepped Jarek's attack with unsettling agility, slashing at him with elongated claws that gleamed in the evening light. The air was thick with tension as I crouched low, trying to stay unnoticed, my heart racing in synchronization with the twin suns slipping lower into the horizon. Jarek was holding his ground, but I could see the strain in his muscles, the resolve in his eyes slowly turning to desperation as he fought off the advance. The thought of losing him ignited a fire in my chest that made me reckless. The module was still in my grasp, battered but intact. I flung myself toward the thickest part of the Quarnka grove, hoping to find a way to outmaneuver the Nixian. "Jarek, I'll lead it away," I shouted, though my voice barely carried over the clash of energy and fury. "What? No," he countered, parrying a close strike aimed at his shoulder. "You're crazy, Ilara," but I didn't have time to argue. I had already made my choice. I darted through the underbrush, the crystalline leaves whispering around me like ghosts of the past. The Nixian snarled, its primal instincts driving it to pursue me, leaving Jarek momentarily distracted. The adrenaline coursed through me, elevating my senses. I ducked beneath a low, hanging branch, redirecting my path as quickly as I could manage, instinct guiding me deeper into the thicket. With every lunge, the Nixian closed the distance, and soon I could see Jarek, fierce and resolute, still battling valiantly. With a wild cry, I veered sharply, plunging into a narrow ravine cluttered with illuminated crystals, an underground cavern known only to scavengers and the daring. Once inside, I paused to catch my breath, a momentary lull where the echoes of my pounding heart were drowned out by the luminous cacophony surrounding me. "Why do you run, child?" A voice, soothing yet eerie, lured me further into the depths of the cave. "Why not embrace the darkness surrounding you?" Startled, I turned and pulled my pulse pistol free. Hovering at the entrance to the cavern was a figure clad in a cloak woven from shimmering fabric. A frail but regal, looking Nixian elder. "Stay back. I will shoot," I warned, though my voice trembled, betraying my fear. In a mere heartbeat, the elder crossed the space between us, warping shadows into form. She was terrifyingly beautiful, her features sharp and otherworldly, casting a striking silhouette against the kaleidoscope of light in the cave. Child, there is more at stake than your futile desire to direct the tides of power, as she spoke, her voice echoing like a caress. You are but one in a tapestry woven long before you took breath. What does that mean? I stammered, gripping the pistol tighter, though I had little intention of using it against her. I'm trying to save lives. I need the truth to be known. Her expression shifted, revealing a hint of amusement. A truth is seldom a single thread. It is a myriad, woven through shadows and light. But first, you must decide. Will you embrace the dark to illuminate the light? Before I could respond, the ground quaked, a deafening roar echoing through the caverns as the Nyxian emerged moments later, his glistening claws outstretched. Jarek dashed in behind it, eyes wide with determination, and in that brief moment of chaos, the surreal nature of the Elder hung heavy in the air. I found her, Jarek shouted as the cavern erupted into chaos once again. The Elder turned toward Jarek, a glimmer of recognition flaring in her eyes. You seek truth, too, boy, but are you brave enough to confront what lies beyond the facade? The Nyxian lunged, enraged, but I fired, narrowly missing its side. I pivoted, moving closer to Jarek, our hands reaching for one another instinctively. Despite everything, I could feel the space between us morph into something stronger. Together, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. We have to fight as one. The pulse between us grew electric, a bond woven with shared battles and the weight of our sorrow. The Elder met our gaze, her brows furrowing, as if sensing the energy rising between us. Fate has woven you tightly. Love is a war of its own. What do you know of love? Jarek spat defiantly, his focus narrowing back to the immediate threat. Or what do you know of yourselves? She countered, layers of wisdom hidden behind her dark eyes. You choose your path wisely, for the threads may twist, and the tapestry may drastically alter. And with that, she disappeared into an enveloping shade, leaving us to face the Nyxian alone. Stay close, Jarek, I called out, grounding myself in the present. Together we moved into a defensive formation, our backs touching, the module secured in the crook of my elbow. We were more than weapons. We were determined individuals bound by a struggle rooted not just in survival but in purpose. As the tension thickened, the Nyxian prowled with predatory intent. With every calculated move of its claws, I felt the echo of the Elder's words loop in my mind like a chant. Love is a war of its own. We fought tirelessly, mirroring each other's movements like a well-rehearsed dance, a testament to years spent forging a bond amidst chaos. The Nyxian swiped with fury, but together we outmaneuvered it, quickly adapting to its rhythm. As I took a calculated step to the side, I felt the module slip from my grip, tumbling to the ground as the Nyxian bucked backward in retreat. The shimmering fragments of data shimmered ominously in the cavern's light, the truth hidden behind them weighing heavy as the battle intensified. And now, Jarek urged, and we dove in tandem for the module, our hands brushing against one another. A fleeting moment that ignited the energy between us, reminding me why I was willing to fight at all. With a fierce roar, the Nyxian retaliated, claws sweeping dangerously close past Jarek's shoulder. I lunged, adrenaline flooding my veins as I grasped the module tightly, rolling away just as the Nyxian launched itself into a frenzied attack, meant to drag us into the shadows. Run, now, I called, and together we dashed, hearts sinking, a tempest of determination coursing through our veins and reinforcing our fragile bond of trust. We fled deeper into the cavern, the haunting echoes of our footfalls resonating with urgency. The darkness enveloped us, teasing out shadows that danced along the cavern walls. A chaotic ballet that mimicked our own fight against circumstance. Where is she going? Jarek gasped, glancing over his shoulder as we rounded a corner, breathless and desperate. To find the truth, I shot back, adrenaline making my voice almost a shriek. We can't let it all fall apart now. And as the cavern opened into an expansive chamber, glimmering with ethereal light, my heart leapt at the sight. Centuries, old relics adorned the walls, scrolls stretching high into the abyss. Look, I pointed, a sudden rush of hope igniting within me. The Council's archives. If we can access them, we can expose the truth of the Council's corruption. Jerk's expression shifted, eyebrows knitting together. The fire in his emerald gaze flared, matched by determination. And the Nixians won't let us get away with it. And just as the Nixian shifted into view behind us, rage palpable like heat radiating off an inferno, I turned to meet Jerk's gaze. "You promise me we won't let fear drive us," I said, my voice steadying as my heart raced. "I promise." He nodded, the resolve trellising our fates together. In that brief moment, darkness closed in on us, pulsating with weighty inevitability. The Nixian lunged forward, its next strike poised to deliver chaos, but we were resolute. We ran deeper into the heart of the dark, embracing the chaos with courage that flowed like blood through our veins. Whatever lay ahead would be faced side by side, entangled in all the complexities of love, secrets, and the cost of truth. With the echoes of the Elder's words brushing against the edges of my consciousness, I knew one thing: we were woven together in a tapestry larger than our own fears. And together, we would find the courage to face what awaited us. As we plunged deeper into the chamber, the air became electric with anticipation, zipping through my skin like static electricity. Ancient relics, their surfaces glimmering eerily beneath the soft luminescence of the cavern's bioluminescent crystals, lined the draped walls. The faint whispers of long, forgotten histories danced around us, calling out tales of glory and betrayal, secrets layered like sediment in the archives of the Council. Jerk and I paused, panting, our eyes scanning the cavern with a mix of dread and awe. "Do you really think we can find what we're looking for here?" Jerk murmured, his voice nearly swallowed by the weight of the stillness surrounding us. "We have to," I replied, fire igniting in my veins. I knew the module contained fragments of the Council's darkest secrets, whispers of corruption, manipulation. A power struggle coming to a head. The knowledge that those we trusted could betray us would be worth anyone's price for freedom. If we can locate the central archive portal, it might give us access to everything. I stepped forward, heart racing. There, at the far end of the chamber, stood an immense obelisk, a towering structure engraved with luminescent glyphs that pulsed rhythmically, thrumming like a heartbeat. There, I pointed, breathless with hope. Jerk hesitated, eyebrows knitted together in concern. "Ilara, I can feel it. The Nixian isn't far behind. Then we better hurry," I urged, forging forward. Each step echoed like a war drum, announcing our presence in this timeless expanse. The air thickened with tension, and shadows danced just beyond our periphery, sending chills racing down my spine. As we sprinted toward the obelisk, I felt a pang of anxiety wrap around my heart. Would we find answers, or would the shadows consume us whole? The obelisk hummed more strongly as we drew near, each flicker of light in the intricate carvings eliciting a sense of recognition. Beneath their glow, the maze of glyphs seemed alive, waiting for a touch, anticipating the ignition of stories long silenced. I reached out a hand and felt warmth radiating beneath my fingers, the textures swirling beneath my touch. "It's responding to you," Jerk exclaimed, his voice tinged with astonishment. "It feels familiar." I gripped the module tightly in one hand, readying it against the obelisk, but the moment I brought it close, a surge of energy shot through my body, sending me stumbling back. The glyphs surged in brightness, lighting up the vastness of the chamber with a warm golden hue. Beneath the pulse of energy I saw visions, the cataclysmic unveiling of a lie that could fracture the foundations of the Alliance. Visions of war-torn planets, streets filled with despair, and families caught in the crossfire flared vividly before me, cascading images blending into an agonizing symphony of chaos. The deep ache of injustice seeped into my bones, and I gasped, staggering as dread washed over me. "Ilara?" Jerk lunged, catching me before I fell, his eyes wide with concern. "What did you see?" "I felt it, Jerk," I whispered, struggling to catch my breath. "The truth isn't just about the Council, it's about them. The Nixian and the other factions, they're all caught in a game that stretches across galaxies. We have to expose it before it's too late. Suddenly, the chamber trembled. Cracks splintered through the crystalline ceiling, sounding like thunder. "It's coming," Jarek urged, gripping my arm. "Whatever we unleash, we need to move now." With urgency propelling us forward, we recalibrated our focus back to the glyphs, my heart racing as we realized the portal sat ready, just waiting for the right key. "With the data module, it must synchronize with the obelisk," I said, a determined edge slicing through my fear. As I positioned the module closer, the glyphs began to spin in a dance of luminescent colors, encroaching on the module softly at first, then seizing it with an electrifying pull. The obelisk hummed loudly, resonating with life, and in that heartbeat of chaos, I caught a glimpse of Jarek's worried face. "Get ready," I shouted as sudden urgency brewed a storm in my heart. The obelisk radiated an intense light, projecting fragments of the Council's knowledge, shadows of espionage, secrets of alliances forged in darkness, backdoor dealings, and truths suppressed. I gasped as the images unfurled, a tapestry woven through betrayal where sacrifices laid the groundwork for power. The visions merged with reality, giving birth to more questions and colliding truths. But everything came with a cost. I felt the ground shake violently beneath us, the Nyxian closing in, relentless and furious. "Hold on, I'll stabilize the portal." I shouted over the noise, adrenaline sharpening my senses. I saw the glyph's pulse, beckoning me to interact, to command. My fingers raced across its surface, tracing the symbols that mirrored wisdom and understanding. The obelisk demanded alignment, a connection, the truth wresting itself free from the past. With each sweep of my hands, I poured the essence of our shared hopes and fears into the obelisk. Light erupted into a stellar cascade as the glyphs formed a spiral vortex, beckoning us into the fold of mystery and power. "It's working, we have to jump," I yelled, knowing that time was slipping through our fingers. The air crackled with energy around me as Jarek grabbed my hand. Together, we leaped, plunging into the luminous tunnel of swirling lights around us, leaving the chaos of the cavern behind. The Nyxian chasing echoes of a truth it wasn't ready to face. Then, the darkness swallowed us whole. As we landed painfully on the other side, the cool stone beneath my back and the scent of damp earth grounding me brought clarity. Slowly, I rolled onto my side, blinking against the brilliance that greeted me. "Where are we?" Jarek murmured, helping me to sit up. The landscape transformed before us an expanse filled with shadows, each flicker of light illuminating bizarre crystal, like flora that pulsed rhythmically. Wisps of spectral energy floated through the air like palpable thoughts. I shook my head, trying to focus. "I don't know, but we made it." "Yeah, but at what cost?" Jarek's gaze darted around in alarm, clearly unsettled. What if we unleashed something worse? Suddenly, a figure emerged from the swirling mist, tall and cloaked in flowing robes that seemed woven from starlight itself. The figure's eyes pierced through the shadows, and I felt an overwhelming sense of recognition wash over me, as if this being had seen the essence of our souls. "Welcome," the figure spoke, voice resonating like echoes in twilight. "You have traversed dimensions in search of truth, but truth carries weight far heavier than you anticipate." "What do you mean?" I asked, steadying myself against the tremors of uncertainty. "We need to know. All of it." The figure moved closer, and I could see strands of energy flicker around them. "You seek to unveil the Council's corruption. But bear in mind, dismantling power structures threatens not just the corrupt, but those who dwell within their shadows. There are forces at play, destinies entwined that stretch beyond your comprehension." Jarek shook his head. "But lives are at stake. Families are struggling because of lies woven by deceit. And in the pursuit of unveiling truth, you risk personal sacrifice," the figure warned. "The Nyxians and the Council lay interwoven paths that have yet to unravel. Secrets whisper amongst the stars. Are you ready to bear witness to them?" His throat dry, I exchanged a glance with Jarek, a silent agreement passing between us. "This isn't just about us," I said, resolve hardening my tone. "We're ready." A brilliant light flared from the figure, illuminating the area around us and casting shadows that danced on the ground. Then step forward if you dare. Your choices ripple through time. Remember, the weight of your truth will grip your soul beyond measure. As the light enveloped us, I felt warmth pooling in my chest. The tension melded into determination. Together, we marched forward, heartbeats synchronizing as we plunged into the forgotten depths of truth. Each step marking a resolution to confront the shadows we wished to illuminate. Moments twisted and shifted unceremoniously as visions washed over me once again, memories from distant worlds, filled with faces both known and unknown, wreathed in politics and pain. Each captured a vital essence, moments where darkness crushed hope and futures folded into despair. Then, a clearer vision emerged, crystalline in its simplicity. A table adorned with countless ranks, familiar faces seated, plotting beneath layers of veils. I gasped, recognizing members of the council, entwined with Nyxian leaders, hidden behind the veneer of diplomacy. Jerk, I clawed at his arm. Do you see them? They're working together. This isn't just the council. The Nyxians aren't merely allies, they're part of something much larger. Why would they betray their own? Jerk breathed, his eyes wide. Because the truth is multifaceted, deeper than just loyalty. Its power, absolute dominance orchestrated through theater and fear. I replied, the dread swirling through me. They aim to control destinies. But if this is the truth, you know, Jerk murmured, realizing the implications. If the Council and Nyxians unite, they could stamp out every faction opposing them, but not at the expense of their own. Yes, and if we expose this, there could be allies hidden amongst the unrest. War, Jerk countered. But what have we unleashed? The vision shifted again. War-torn landscapes of planets bearing devastation filled the expanse of my mind, and on those hallowed grounds, real people suffered, caught in a game they hadn't chosen. Innocent lives crushed under power plays as the Council manipulated their every move. For those families, their pain is our burden. We must show them. I turned to the figure, urgency pulsing through me. This can't just be about the Council. It has to reveal the truth for everyone. The figure nodded slowly, shadows melding as the light dimmed. With truth comes responsibility, child. The time will come when your resolve is truly tested. You must prepare to face the consequences, for the battle extends beyond what you can comprehend. We're ready for it, Jerk asserted, an echo of fierce determination lacing his voice. Another flare of brilliance surged from the figure. Their eyes shone like moons in twilight. Then step forward and embrace the weight of your decisions. Together, we took a step, crossing an invisible threshold into the luminous chaos ahead. Little did we know, shadows danced just beyond reach, whispering secrets that lay entwined in our destinies. An intertwined fate that would test the very foundation of loyalty and love. With every heartbeat, we stepped closer to unveiling a truth bound to challenge morality itself and the decisions we would soon have to live with. We had crossed the point of no return, awakening forces that would shake the cosmos and forever alter the threads connecting us to one another. And as illumination swallowed us whole, I steeled myself for the unrest that awaited us on the other side, knowing that the ramifications of our journey would cast long shadows spreading through the galaxy. In the depths of shadows, we would find the truth that had eluded so many. When we flew free from the ephemeral light once more, I felt the faint sense of déjà vu wash over me. This was it, a world where alliances murmured like threads woven secretly behind closed doors. I inhaled the thick air, its aroma laced with uncertainty, trepidation, and hints of despair. Wherever we had landed held they keys to the future, but we had to navigate what it represented, a nexus point waiting to reveal its long, buried threads of truth. Keep your wits about you, Jerk whispered, glancing over his shoulder as his pulse pistol steadied at his side. We can't let this moment fall between our fingers. I nodded, determination surging through me anew as we ventured into this chaotic intersection of destiny, aware that the stories yet to unfold would bind us deeper into a conflict with far-reaching consequences. With each step we took, I could feel the world shifting, the interwoven fate of galaxies shifting with every whisper of truth yearning to be unveiled. and the conviction in my heart blazed like a beacon. Whatever awaited us was a cost I would pay willingly, for we were more than mere players. We were the harbingers of truth, unraveling shadows that had thickened far too long. We would stand together, we would reshape our fates, we would uncover a tapestry brighter than any darkness that sought to drown us, untangling loyalties that echoed the struggle of love and sacrifice. And as we moved forward, unyielding and resolute, the future beckoned. The air of the Nexus world buzzed with a palpable tension, every step echoing like the drumbeats of war within the caverns of my heart. As Jerk and I emerged from the obscurity of the shadows, the landscape stretched before us, a hybrid panorama of shimmering towers and dilapidated structures, a setting that bore the scars of battle and the whispers of intrigue. Translucent silks draped from the architecture like veils, swaying softly in the breeze while the ground pulsed beneath our feet, a reminder that every structure held secrets shared only with the wind. A marketplace thrummed with activity, throngs of various species moving fluidly, exchanging goods and information. The noise rose like a symphony, vibrant and chaotic, yet laced with an undercurrent of fear. I caught snippets of hushed conversations, factions plotting, alliances thrumming, and the possibility of war brewing unseen. If the Council had a hand in manipulating these gatherings, it would mean disaster for those unprepared and caught in their web. "Stay close," Jerk murmured, his emerald eyes scanning the crowd. "We can't risk being separated here. Too much is at stake." I nodded, the heat of affirmation spurring me onward, determination coursing through my veins. Each step drew me closer to unraveling the secrets that buzzed around us like starlings in flight. We maneuvered through narrow passages, weaving through market stalls as I fought to keep my resolve from wavering. This was our chance, our only chance, to shine light on the darkness threatening to engulf the galaxy. The vibrations in the air shifted, a faint buzzing weaving through the crowd. Suddenly, an announcement echoed through the market. A clashing voice blared from a holo scroll propped atop a stall, igniting tension with its commanding presence. "Citizens, prepare yourselves. The Council demands order as the Nixians threaten to breach our sovereignty. Rally to defend our way of life." The crowd reacted like a spooked herd of grazers. Faces transformed, fear painting vivid expressions as families clung to one another. Chaos erupted, weaving threads of anxiety rippling through the wide, gathered assembly. A growing wave of anger mingled with desperation bubbled forth. "Jerk, we have to act fast," I urged, tugging his sleeve, scanning the raucous crowd, sensing the anger pulsing beneath fragile intentions. "Speak to the factions, put the truth out there before the fear spreads any further. We need allies now." He nodded, determination tightening his jaw, and as we broke from one another, I could feel the weight of his gaze, backing me with a promise of loyalty that propelled me forward. Navigating this tumultuous sea, I leaned closer to a group of concerned merchants who had gathered in anxious huddles, whispering amongst themselves. Clenching the data module tightly in my pocket, I took a breath and gathered my courage. "Friends," I called out, injecting my voice with urgency. "The Council has sown deceit among you. The truth binds us. What you hear, what you see is a manipulation spun to control us. You must listen." Eyes widened, shifting from apprehension to curiosity. A few murmured expressions of disbelief faded into their glances, but the more prominent figures began to speak over each other, disbelief grappling tightly with fear. "You are just one voice. What proof do you have to support your claims? How do we know you're not a puppet of the Council yourself?" I felt despair tugging at my resolve, but as I faced them, something primal ignited in me. Because I carry evidence, truth waiting to be unveiled. The Council conspired in the shadows with the Nixians, spinning webs of discord, its privilege over lives, deceit rising like tides. We need to unite before they tear us apart. As if summoned by the weight of my declaration, the Nixian elder from the cavern formed at the periphery of the crowd, her iridescent skin glinting under the market's glow. I caught sight of her haunted gaze racing to join my cause. "This one speaks truth. If you heed her message, you may grasp what you think is lost. The alliance teeters upon a precipice. The crowd silently absorbed her presence. A growing murmur cut through the chatter like wind beneath burned wings, and whispers echoed back. Could it be true? Had the council truly conspired against them? Jarek rejoined me, eyes fierce. Keep pushing, Ilara. Emphasize the consequence of turning against each other. As the tension rolled back and forth like a collapsed wave, I continued, spurred on by the force of their confusion. This is not just about the destruction of factions. It's about every family affected. It's about us standing together against oppression. Only united can we face this threat. A woman stepped forward, her face half illuminated by a flickering glow, and her voice ricocheted through the murmuring crowd. If what you say is true, then how do we trust each other? How do we know you've come to save us and not drown us in more deception? Taking a breath, I stepped forward. Trust is built on each action we take. I urge you to take this leap of faith for yourself and your own kin. Our adversary feeds on fear, and its strength multiplies when we are divided. As I grappled with the whirlwind of emotions crashing around me, determination surged in every heart on that bustling street. The murmurs began to shift, swollen with courage now ignited. Voices rose louder, melding into a collective. A trader stood firm, solidifying the resolve like an anchor, shouting, "Then we stand together. We will not be divided by fear. If the harbinger of truth seeks our alliance, then let us rally behind her." The tide shifted. Courage fueled us like flame as the voices swelled with purpose. Together we will confront the council. Let the Nixians understand the power of unity. And like sparks catching fire, the reaffirmation spread in ripples, echoing through the marketplace until the urgency surged, binding us in solidarity. But then the marketplace erupted again. A tremor coursed through the ground, foreshadowing the arrival that none could predict. I caught sight of figures standing atop the surrounding cliff. Council troops adorned in their vivid uniforms, weapons glinting beneath the waning light. Their faces masked with authority, they bore determination that danced menacingly, keen on quelling the now renewed hope binding us. Citizens of this fickle world, a booming voice echoed, heavy and weighted with threats. Dare you defy the council's wisdom? Obey the appointed authority or face the consequences. Fear began to creep back, flickers of discord shattering the courage ignited only moments ago. But I wouldn't allow despair to settle. Stand firm, I shouted, my voice cracking against the chaos. This is their tactic. Don't yield to fear. We are no longer subjects, we are allies. Now is the time to rise together. Jarek joined me, emboldened by my cry, raising his own voice into the chaos. This is our planet too. Stand in defiance against tyranny. But the council troops advanced, their armor glinting like malevolence personified, and with a commanding signal, the air darkened with energy, echoing with tension. Reports of the Nixian forces emerging in the distance blurred the realities of our unity. As fear swirled in the air, the citizens looked from council forces to us and back again, uncertainty clouding their newfound resolve. We had awakened them, ignited hope, but would they let fear stifle that fire? And as uncertainty began to gnaw at the heart of that moment, the Nixian elder stepped forward, shimmering with ominous strength. The air around her crackled, charged with energy as she faced down the council warriors. Let them heed wisdom, not just with weapons but with understanding, for with boundaries unseen we may rise, or we may fall. The tide hung in the balance. As the growing tempests of uncertainty clashed, I sensed something greater emerging. An unyielding storm, threads of politics interwoven with bonds built by honest intention. The council guards took a step forward, weapons raised but not toward us. No, they turned toward each other, uncertainty gripping those soldiers locked in orders. Were they truly united in oppression? We watched frozen, hearts in tandem, bracing for a shift as the Nixians and citizens rallied around us, pushing back against the storm fueled by fear and anger. In that charged moment, we had something far mightier than the council could have predicted. Voices rose together, melding to form a potent anthem. It was more than just a mixture of the present, but a promise for the future of opulence, quelled beneath a truth that challenged the very traditions of power. If fate has entangled us, the past must not dictate our future, I cried, hearing my own voice rise amid the tumult. The ground hummed beneath our feet. It wouldn't just be a clash of forces, it would be a renaissance of purpose, a symphony of truths intertwined. As the council troops faltered, confusion sparking doubts among them, I felt Jerk at my side, our fingers intertwined. He was my anchor in this whirlwind. There was no looking back, only a walk toward the brightness that awaited, tethered by the choices we made, standing resolute against the shadows seeking to drown us. And as the darkness began to pull back, I knew that whatever lay ahead would not only reveal our allegiance as allies, but expose the very core of who we were. Testing bonds, forging destinies bathed in the glow of knowledge, love, and sacrifice. We had crossed thresholds of belief, an awareness pulsing through the crowd, and instinctively felt its spark. Now it was time to join forces, standing side by side, facing what would surely emerge to challenge our newfound unity. But we would not be alone. The tapestry of alliances formed around us, weaving together strength through shared hope, illuminating paths where darkness had long ruled. Together, we would unearth a truth that would redefine what it meant to fight for freedom, no matter the cost. With hearts pounding in rapid synchrony, we surged forward, ready for the tempest that awaited us, unwavering as we embraced the battle ahead. In this moment, we were not mere players in a game, but architects of a future bold and unrestrained, determined to rise from the embers of discord into the truth that had long called to us from the shadows. Let the council hear us, let the Nixians see us united as one, together forging a new path that would resonate through the ages, casting long shadows of change through the cosmos. In this pivotal moment, we would not just seek the truth, we would become it. The dust of the battlefield settled like a heavy blanket, cloaking the remnants of what was once a vibrant marketplace. The tense silence was pregnant with uncertainty as the council troops hesitated, their weapons raised but wavering, caught in the swell of fervent unity ignited in that moment. Jerk and I stood at the forefront, sides pressed together, hearts racing in synchrony with the pulse of a new alliance. Now's our chance, I murmured to Jerk, casting a glance toward the elder, who stood tall amid the roiling chaos, her shimmering visage reflecting the growing hope. We have to show them that strength lies in the truth. The air was thick with tension as whispers of uncertainty rippled through the ranks of both the marketplace dwellers and the council's forces. This moment was pivotal. The choices we made here could either forge a new path or plunge us into despair. Ilara gathered the crowd, Jerk instructed, determination etching his features as he prepared to face the troops. I felt a jolt of urgency surge through me. Already, citizens were gathering, those emboldened by a single truth we dared to speak. Citizens of the Alliance, I shouted, my voice cutting through the stillness. But what you see isn't just opposition, it's your opportunity. It's a chance to stand against those who have sought to manipulate us all. The tide of uncertainty turned as individuals began moving toward me. Families, traitors, fighters, shaking off the shackles the council had placed upon them. They've fed us lies and hollow promises. We are not pawns in their tyrannical game. I continued, adrenaline igniting my passion. This burgeoning force echoed my conviction, wielding it with a strength I had not anticipated. The council troops shifted uneasily, their leaders casting doubt in their ranks. Can you not see? The voice of Commander Valath, a figure cloaked in authority and armored in bravado, boomed out over the din, attempting to restrain the growing fervor. These insurgents pose a threat to your very existence. Serve the council or suffer the consequences. This arrogance fanned the flames of rebellion. A merchant, the same one who had rallied the crowd before, stepped forward defiantly. We are tired of being treated as expendable. Warriors among us show them what it means to fight for freedom. His voice surged through the throng, unifying us like never before. The elders erupted into a chant, citizens echoing the sentiments, igniting fear in the troops as they glanced at one another. The council lies, they cried, the council deceives. The growing refrain amplified, enveloping the council soldiers in a wave of defiance. Enough, Commander Valath bellowed, desperation clinging to his voice as his soldiers began to bow under the weight of the rebellion. You will obey, we carry the order, but I noticed uncertainty flaring in his eyes, and I seized that power, sending a sharp glance at Jerk. Do it, I urged him, all too aware of the moment hanging in the balance. He steeled himself, raising his pulse pistol higher. I understood. This was our stand against oppression and deceit. The pulse of our resolve ignited something raw and primal in the crowd. Together, Jerk shouted, his voice ringing clear as he stepped forward with unwavering intensity. We demand the truth. Your silence will no longer bind us. And in that moment, the council troops faltered. Uncertainty shifted the very ground beneath them, and the crowd surged forward, finally feeling the strength of unified willpower clashing against the chains of fear. Together we moved, circling Valath and his soldiers, instinctively deconstructing the barriers of authority they had long upheld. "A Valath," I called out, confidence burning bright within me. "This is your moment to choose. Stand with us for the truth, or let history remember you as a coward." His gaze snapped to me. A flicker of recognition illuminated his features momentarily. Perhaps a fragment of the truth truly breaking through the bravado of his authority. The energy surged. The crowd roared louder, rising in unity. "You cannot break us," they chanted, creating an impenetrable net that circled the council troops. As their commander reeled, understanding twisted in his eyes. The crowd surged forward, growing hyper, charged with the pulsing resolve of unity. The commander's lip curled in contempt, his pulse pistol wavering in hand. "O fools, you think you can challenge the council. We hold power over the unknown." But even he could sense the tide had turned. He was standing on borrowed time as the reverberation of hope shifted that fabric of authority into something tangible and resolute. "Unity is our power," I called out, realizing the truth that had been laid bare in our collective struggle. "And if I must face you, then so be it. But I will not let fear dictate our lives any longer." Despite the danger, I felt an overwhelming surge of courage, one I had thought lost to me. The vibrant bond formed within the crowd radiated through me. The voice of the elder echoed in the recesses of my mind. With truth comes responsibility. I understood that responsibility now. As if sensing the defining moment, Valath raised his pulse pistol, clearly about to give orders to crumble our newfound alliance into chaos. But before he could unleash that order, a flash erupted through the air, a piercing, furious sound, followed by a brilliant flash of light, ricocheted across the battlefield as multiple low-vibration explosions erupted among the council soldiers. Amidst the swirling energy, chaos ensued. Smoke and confusion engulfed the air like a tempest. The council's troops recoiled under the unexpected onslaught. Instinctively, the crowd around me, bolstered by newfound bravery, surged forward to reclaim power. Jerk seized the moment, rushing to my side, pulse pistol raised. As we pushed together through the shifting tides, shouting commands to the gathered citizens to reclaim their rights, the atmosphere buzzed around us, igniting clarity. "Gather the truth, the module. We need to make it known, here." A voice shouted from the periphery, a familiar face breaking through the melee. One of the volunteers from our unit back on Terra Nova. He thrust the data module toward me, silhouetted against the dissipating smoke. "I tracked you here. They've been searching for it. We have to upload it now." Together, Jerk, the merchant, turned. Leader and our newfound ally positioned the module between us as the chaos vibrated heavily in the air. With pulses racing, we watched as nervous citizens retreated onto the edges of the melee once again, searching for direction against the encroaching council forces. Together, I shouted again, galvanizing the renewed focus of our coalition. "We stand united for truth. The merchant raised his voice over the tumult. "Citizens, together we shall show them that the council hides beneath layers of deceit. We will expose their treachery. We are unwavering. We initiated the upload of the data module with a unifying spirit. Digital pathways flashing to life with our shared essence, a reflection of resilience built through struggle." Across the battlefield, holograms ignited into being, illuminating the stark truths we sought to unleash. The greed, manipulation, suffering, and requests lofted in desperation by oppressed voices filled the air like gallant declarations. Meanwhile, the council's soldiers rallied from the chaos, but an invisible barrier held them at bay as energy surged from our collective truth. "Let the echoes be known," I shouted, propelled by the weight of destiny as our holograms projected graphic evidence of the Council's darkest conspiracies, dark alliances woven between the Nixians and the Alliance itself. "If fools," Valath screamed, his eyes wide with panic as the holographic messages surged around him like a storm, thrumming with the weight of truth and consequence. "Your naivety will be your downfall, you foolish mortals." But the truth had taken root, contagious and vibrant, spreading like wildfire among the citizens, their faces lighting up as they found their voices, rallying against authority in ways they had never imagined. Lifting pulse pistols high, they charged the crackling forces, uniting against the council that sought to divide us. And as Valath realized the breadth of the uprising before him, his expression shifted from anger to despair, unable to hide that moment of reckoning. The shift of power was dramatic. It was evident that the council's grip on authority was faltering against the tides of voices empowered with truth. "Jerk, watch out," I shouted suddenly, instinctively thrusting myself in front of him. A shot rang out, ricocheting narrowly past me, and I felt the rush of adrenaline spike through my system. It was a warning shot meant to intimidate, but it awoke something within me. There was power in vulnerability when fueled by righteousness. "No more," I bellowed, unable to remain silent as I faced Valath with courage. "The time for hiding behind facades is over. We demand change and we will not back down. Burn you, traitor," Valath hissed, anger dripping from his words like venom. But before he could unleash wrath, the wave of citizens surged, a torrent of unity washing over the council troops. The flicker of confusion permeated the ranks, prompting Valath's troops to hesitate, a spark of uncertainty morphing into an insurrection. They began to lower their weapons, the weight of indecision weighing heavily on them. They looked around, witnessing the faces of their allies morphing and shifting into something undeniable, a reflection of their own humanity, long concealed by empty allegiance. And now, I yelled to Jerk, our voices combining in a hypnotic rally that swamped the battlefield. "Now's the time to seize it. Rally behind the truth." With one voice, we surged forward together, casting aside the fears that had long held us captive and embracing the unity that blazed between us. Valath, now isolated and reeling, turned frantically to his troops, and in an act of desperation, fired his pulse pistol into the air. "You are fools to abandon the council. I will destroy you if you dare cross my command." Yet, as if fueled by the very essence of truth, the soldiers looked at one another, witnessing the break of chains they themselves bore, recognizing the strength of rebellion. One soldier, a young Nixian, swallowed hard, his weapon trembling in hand as he faced Valath. "We will not be your instruments of oppression any longer. We will fight for ourselves, not your whims." A spark ignited through the crowd. A wave of solidarity rolled forth. The soldiers stepped back, casting aside their weapons and uniting with the rallying cry, "We will not follow tyranny any longer." And as the momentum shifted toward truth-fueled rebellion, I felt it, the essence of unity, and the bonds forged among the chaos caused a rift in the fabric of power. Together we surged forward, side by side, faces glowing with determination, ready to elevate this alliance, ready to unravel the council's legacy of disgraceful hoaxes, the ghost of manipulation that had haunted us for too long. We charged through the smoke, building walls of strength to encapsulate our resolve. I could hear our collective breaths quickening, and amidst the fight, the essence of love, meshed with sacrifice, blazed beneath our hearts. Each step was both a claim and a call to our own destinies as architects of liberation, and as I caught the gaze of Jerk, I steadied myself, knowing we would soon wield the power of truth, not just as victors of this battle, but as catalysts for a new future. Together, we pushed back the darkness, embracing the struggle that still lay ahead. A movement ignited not just in resistance, but in the celebration of the freedom yet to come, fueled by the trust forged in uncertainty and the love that blossomed amidst the ashes. United, we set forth, ready to confront what would unfurl. The nexus of rebellion calling out within the galaxy, igniting the threads of destiny into brilliant hues of truth, love, and hope as we stepped into the dawn of an era ripe with possibility. And in that moment, we became not just the harbingers of change, we became the walking embodiment of it, pressing forward to reclaim a galaxy long held in shadows. With renewed conviction lighting our way, we charged, hand in hand, into the light of the unknown, ready to reshape the fabric of our world with every bold step forward. Together, we would not just endure, we would thrive. The cacophony of battle reverberated through the marketplace as our alliance stood firm against the encroaching forces of the Council. The energy in the atmosphere was electric, our shared determination fueling an innate resilience that was palpable. This was our defining moment, the culmination of all we had fought for. I could see Jerk by my side, his expression fierce and unwavering as we pressed forward into the fray. The light of hope echoes strong against the shadows that tried to claw their way back into our lives. Together, Jerk shouted, rallying the citizens and our newfound allies Nixians and members of other factions who had chosen to stand beside us. We must not falter now. With pulse pistols raised and voices intertwined, we surged through the chaos, a collective tide pushing against the fear that had long paralyzed us. Valath's troops hesitated, caught in a web of confusion as allies turned against them. My heart raced with anticipation as the echo of the truth we had unearthed reverberated through every corner of the battlefield. Up ahead, I could see Valath, the leader of the Council's forces, retreating deeper into the shadow of authority that had once shielded him. Fear was beginning to seep into the cracks of his facade, causing him to lose his composure. A shred of vulnerability that we could harness. Press forward, I yelled, feeling the fire within me stoke brightly. Each step we took was charged with urgency, and I could see the momentum shift like tectonic plates beneath us, ready to unveil a new world, one born from courage rather than fear. But don't let the shadows hold us back any longer. Together, we are stronger than any false authority. As we advanced, I noticed Samara, the merchant from earlier, stepping up beside me, her eyes sharp with determination. Ilara, the people need a leader who believes in them. We have to show them that defiance can light the way. Her voice was infectious, a clarion call that rallied the hearts of those around us, revitalizing their spirits. Yes, let them see our fire, I responded, urging courage through my veins as we fought side by side. Let them know what we fight for. Moments later, the pulse of the gathering became a roaring wave, cresting higher as our conviction washed over the battlefield. Faces illuminated by the flickering energy of emergency lights, and the faint golden glow of dawn sweeping across the horizon, channeled the essence of our struggle. This resilience layered within us fueled our every move, transforming our fear into a potent force, something we could wield against the oppression that had long shadowed our lives. But even as our spirits soared, Valath's forces retaliated. Through the roiling energy, I sensed an oncoming storm, a wave of retaliatory power that could shatter our newfound resolve. The crack of pulse weapons punctuated the air, and I sensed the tension rise as chaos threatened to overcome the fragile bond we had forged. "Hold your positions," I barked, feeling the unrest ripple through the throng. "We will not be intimidated. Show them our strength." As I steadied my stance and prepared to push back against what was coming, I was taken aback by a surge of voices rising into a rallying cry. "We will stand firm. We will not bow. We fight for truth." They echoed back as if pouring molten fire back into the air, and I felt my heart swell at the power of this united chorus. Just then, I spotted movement in the distance, a flash of armored figures weaving through the chaos. My heart sank momentarily. Fear was like a cold blanket threatening to suffocate me. The council reinforcements had arrived, tightened their grip as they attempted to quell our uprising. They flooded into the fray like a relentless tide, suppressing our rebellion. "Watch out!" Jerk's voice rang out, pulling me back to the present. We were under attack. A volley of shots erupted around us, and I ducked instinctively, adrenaline surging through me. "Focus," I commanded, looking at the determined faces around me, unwilling to cower. "We need to harness their fear, turn it against them." My rallying cry echoed through the front line as the fires ignited in my chest. The council troops moved like a well-practiced machine, but I could see hesitation creeping into their ranks. "Samara, gather the merchants," I called, knowing they would have valuable insight and resources necessary to shield us against incoming artillery. "We need barricades, anything to obstruct their advances. Jerk will flank the rear. We need to disrupt their formation." As we began to organize around the rising tide of the battlefield, I felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily upon me. Decisions would shape the outcome, and what we unleashed would not only redefine our futures, but that of countless others consuming the shadows beyond this marketplace. Together, Jerk nodded, joining me as we rushed to gather whatever supplies we could find. We hastily moved through the bustling market, leveraging the chaos to our advantage as we commandeered carts, crates, and debris, the essential pieces that would form our defenses. "Construct barricades," the elder Nixian called out, leading a group of fighters alongside us, each carrying the determination to protect what we had built. "We will not be caught without our defenses." The atmosphere shimmered with frantic energy as we erected makeshift barriers, shielding us from the encroaching council forces. The thunder of battle echoed, but I sensed uncertainty lurking among the enemy ranks, cracks forming across the facade of control they had maintained for so long. With barricades established, I signaled to the crowd. "And now is the time to show them we are unbreakable. Keep the courage burning." The moment felt alive with possibility, and I seized it with urgency, pushing forward alongside Jerk as we prepared to flank the advancing council troops. With resolve driving us onward, I raised my pulse pistol, fire igniting in my bones. "In the name of truth," I shouted, but even as I heard my voice amplify in the heat of battle, I felt the deepening rumble of something else, something far more ominous. Then a malicious laughter pierced the chaos like a blade. "You think you can withstand the full might of the council?" Valath stepped forward, pushing through the chaos. His figure hulking and proud, condescending confidence dripped from his words. "Do you truly believe you can change anything? Your flames will be snuffed out like candles against a raging tempest." My resolve hardened. "You've underestimated us, Valath. We rise not from flames of despair, but forged in the bonds of hope." The weight of my declaration echoed through the street, transforming the tide of anxious anticipation toward the battle we faced. His arrogance began to slip away. "For every weapon you wield, we have the strength of united worlds. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the generations bound by oppression. We will unearth the truth buried beneath your lies." In that moment, Valath's facade trembled. Anger and uncertainty flickered in his gaze, sparking doubt among the troops he commanded. He raised his weapon, but I could see the tremor of indecision in his fingers, a telltale sign that his belief in dominance was fading. With every pulse of energy radiating from the citizens standing beside us, I tightened my stance, unwavering in confronting the council's force. "Do not falter. We are the spark igniting change." And as the battle reached its chaotic climax, the procession of light began to intertwine with darkness, an uncertain dance yet promising synergy. I urged again, "Stand strong. Our unity shall prevail." With those words, I felt Jerk's reassuring grip on my arm as he rallied the citizens behind me. Those waiting in the shadows find strength in our light. We are not merely fighters, we are seekers of truth, ones who are ready to rise from the ashes. Together came the collective shout, a roaring tide of conviction spreading through us all. The moment united us, weaving friendships and alliances through thick and thin. And as artillery fired and chaos erupted around us, we emerged empowered by hope. The warmth of burning determination gathering behind us, a collective flame too bright to be drowned by the Council's maneuvers. We charge, the cry pierced through the chaos as we surged forward, laid plans transformed into action. The tide shifted, and with every step forward, we bulldozed through Valath's diminishing troops. Together, I bellowed again, charging alongside Jerk, pulse pistols aimed against the oppressive forces. The barricades held strong, protecting those who fought for freedom, emboldening us to dismantle centuries of oppression piece by piece. From that moment, it was no longer just a battle. It was a reckoning, threads of truth weaved strong with the fabric of rebellion, ready to storm the Council's founding structure as we challenged the darkness in the name of justice and hope. The way ahead began to reveal itself, illuminated by the radiant faces of those whose strength shone brightly against the chaos. And amidst the battle's crescendo, I recognized something more. The bond we forged through our struggles, the energy of change reflecting across our spirits. We will not rest, I vowed as we pressed forward into the storm, until we reclaim our destiny. As Valath's authority wavered, plunging our world toward transformation, one truth remained clear. The dawn of a new era awaited us, brighter than any shadows seeking to ensnare us. This was our battle. Together, we would rewrite history, hand in hand, and forge a path toward the future we all longed to create. Unyielding and empowered, we pushed on, igniting a renaissance of rebellion, standing not just as individuals defiantly opposing the Council, but as the harbingers of a brighter world yet to be unveiled. Together, we surged into the heart of chaos, ready to reclaim the threads of the destiny we had long yearned to seize. And in that moment, I knew we would prevail. The chaos of the battlefield roared around us, echoes of gunfire mingling with cries of defiance as we surged forward, a living wave of rebellion. The marketplace, once a cacophony of trade and commerce, had transformed into a crucible of conflict. The air crackled with energy, electric fear and exhilaration intertwining as the tide of battle raged onward. "Stay close," I shouted to Jerk, feeling the momentum of our united forces behind us, a palpable pulse of hope igniting my determination. Together, we pushed into the fray, refusing to allow shadows to envelop our journey toward a brighter future. On the front lines, Valath's forces struggled to maintain their formation, doubt and uncertainty swirling among them like a miasma. The sight of their wavering confidence only fueled our resolve. With every step we took, that shared belief roused the very essence of courage within us, transforming fear into the fire of rebellion. Together, I cried, urging the gathered citizens to press forward, feeling the hum of energy that resonated through the bond we'd forged. As the dust swirled and the smoke hung thick in the air, the council leader Valath, caught in the grips of desperation, raised his pulse pistol, determination etched across his features. "You will all pay for your disobedience," he bellowed, but his voice trembled, revealing the cracks in his bravado. A surge of adrenaline ignited within me as I took a step forward, pulse pistol aimed unwaveringly at him. "We will pay for nothing. You are the tyrant. Your reign is at its end." My voice rang out, echoing across the battlefield, capturing the attention of those who teetered on the edge of allegiance. Around me, the citizens rallied, fueled by my words. A collective roar rose like a rising tide, drowning out Valath's threats. "We are ready," they shouted, conviction lighting their eyes, emboldened by truth instead of fear. As I looked into their faces, merchants, soldiers, citizens longing for change, I felt a fierce determination surge through me. I couldn't let this moment slip away. We were on the cusp of crafting a new destiny. In a flash, the scene shifted. On the outskirts of the marketplace, I spotted figures emerging reinforcements from the Council and their Nyxian allies, a menacing advance that loomed heavy upon us. Panic surged through some of the crowd, but I forced myself to stand tall, my determination unyielding. We will not be cowed by their shadows. Together we stand. I yelled, charging forward, pulse blaring a staccato rhythm as we breached the front lines of conflict. Forward, Jerk echoed at my side, pushing ahead as Nyxian warriors flew to defend our flank, pulse weapons shimmering like stars in the smoky haze. The clash of metal and energy filled the air, a symphony of rebellion igniting around us. I caught sight of Samara orchestrating a defense, her merchants now transformed into fierce fighters, using their cart barricades as shields against the Council forces intent on suppressing our uprising. As we pressed forward, the battlefield felt almost surreal, a blur of color and sound melding into an urgent tapestry of resistance. Valoth issued commands to his troops, attempting to rally them against the swell of unity standing up to them, but I could see the resolve fracturing within their ranks. Push, advance, we will crush this rebellion, he screamed, but it echoed hollowly, ricocheting off the fading sunlight that lingered beyond the horizon. I turned to Jerk, our eyes locking in excitement and tension. We need to reach the center of the battlefield. If we can seize control of that position, we could harness the power of the obelisk. It may be the key to unraveling Valath's command. He nodded resolutely, determination reflected in his emerald gaze. Let's move. Shouldering through the chaos, we navigated toward the heart of the battlefield, pulse weapons raised high. Using every ounce of strength, we had to push back against the Council. With every pulse of our weapons, the tides shifted. Citizens surged alongside us, motivated by a fire slumbering within their hearts. We were more than athletes of rebellion. We were architects of change. As we barreled toward the central square, I spotted it, the massive illuminated obelisk, a piece of ancient technology that resonated with the very essence of truth. Shadows danced around it, soldiers of the Council still holding back, but their unity was fracturing. Now, I shouted, unleashing a rallying cry to propel the crowd forward. Let our voices become a single force. The citizens surged, merging with the Nyxian warriors, our combined energy forming a vibrant wave that breached the final barriers. The streets hummed with the clash of forces. With every step, our confidence blossomed. The Council troops faltered, their unity dissipating like shadow. We had awakened something powerful in them and us alike, a realization that united was a force to withstand even their most formidable presence. We will not relent, the truth will guide us, Jerk shouted beside me, his voice intertwining with the rising chorus. In that breathless moment, we reached the obelisk, its ancient geometries pulsating with energy, responding to our very presence. I understood instinctively that we needed to harness this power. It could amplify the truth we sought to unveil. We have to activate it. We must show everyone what lies beneath Valath's mask, Jerk urged, and a fire ignited within me. This was our moment, to merge the ancient with the new, to infinitesimally challenge the tides of deception with our truth. With newfound focus, I placed my hands upon the warm surface of the obelisk, feeling its energy surge through me. Instinctively, I began to channel the thoughts and emotions within. Our hopes, our fears, our collective aspirations, and the need for change resonated deeper than anything else. The obelisk shimmered, drawing upon our hearts as it glowed brightly, illuminating the remnants of chaos like a lighthouse piercing the storm. The air around me vibrated with a pulse, a connection to the energy flowing between us all. Valath screamed out orders, but they fell on deaf ears, lost among the force of our united goals. The obelisk began to project holograms, unfolding a tapestry of truth. The backdoor dealings, the harsh consequences of their lies unveiling across the landscape. Do you see? Valath shouted defiantly, his voice twisting with panic. This will not save you. Your truth means nothing. But the resonance of the pulsing light transformed, illuminating our reality and weaving it into a tapestry too vivid to ignore. The citizens and soldiers alike began to witness the history and deceit that had woven generations into despair. The soldiers surrounding us faltered, doubt creeping into their ranks as the images flooded the air. It was mass then rebellion. It was liberation. The chains of manipulation that Valath and the Council enforced shimmered away under the weight of each truth revealed. Together we will rise, I shouted as the obelisk blazed with brilliant light, the energy surging like tidal waves as its truth echoed through the battlefield. Stand with us. Today we reclaim our fates. The luminosity surged, amplifying the heartfelt unity of the crowd, urging forgiveness amid the chaos. In response, the council troops hesitated, their resolve crumbling under the weight of power that echoed each heartbeat. Join us, I urged, desperation lacing my voice as I turned to Valath, who had taken a step backward. I could sense the change within him. Deep down, he knew the truth. Do not let your ego dictate your final moments in power. Become part of this new world. Then a realization flickered in Valath's eyes, a dawning comprehension in the face of insurmountable odds. You cannot beat the truth forever, he murmured, uncertainty lining his features as if the implications of his own words began to unravel him. Then do not try to. I propelled my voice across the battle, field determined, unyielding. This was no longer about simply defeating him. It was about claiming our futures. Help us build a future free from deceit. Stand with us or be left behind by those who refuse to play their game. The moment throbbed with anticipation as soldiers turned their weapons upon each other, realizing the futility of blind allegiance. We can choose, echoed through the crowd, as if empowered by the very truth we had intertwined, hope still flickering even among the council troops. And as if choreographed, Valath's command began to crumble like a house of cards under the pressure of the revealed truth. A movement surged behind me. A new wave of vibrancy began to radiate from the crowd as they lifted their heads in unison, eyes lit with the realization sparked by the obelisk. The power to choose had always rested in their hands. Together, they roared, together we shine. Together as one, they surged forward, echoing the essence of what we sought, truth beckoning unfathomably bright against the shadows. And as Valath realized his fate binding closer with every passing second, his stoic facade splintered. With every pulse of the truth radiating from the obelisk, I could see the oppression of the past fading. It was heralding a new dawn echoing across the battlefield. Each step forward amplified by our unity, merging histories and aspirations, no longer dictated by fear but illuminated by hope. The council army faltered, dissolving under the wave of our camaraderie as soldiers chose loyalty to truth over subjugation. We can be more than weapons. We can be warriors for change. The voices of the crowd melded, overpowering Valath's commands. A hymn of unity binding us all together. "O Valath," I challenged, my voice resolute and unwavering, "your time is over. Your name shall echo in futility unless you join us." The flicker of indecision began to fade from his gaze, replaced by uncertainty of what lay ahead. The streets themselves seemed to hold their breath as we faced the remnants of a power that had long held sway over us. And just as they began to lower their weapons entirely, embodying a choice beyond oppression, the final spark ignited when Valath's expression twisted to something more vulnerable. An unexpected realization that perhaps he was indeed fighting a battle against forces that extended beyond his control. "This," he fell to a whisper, "this isn't what I wanted." In that pivotal moment, realization spread through every heart surrounding us. As the obelisk hummed louder, illuminating truths and bonds forged through honest struggle, I grasped Jerk's hand, feeling the energy surge and pulsate between us. Together, we held the fragments of hope, ready to unleash the revelations that could shape the fabric of our galaxy forever. "Then join us," I shouted, casting aside my weapon as Valath hesitated, caught between light and shadow. "Be part of this movement towards something greater. Embrace the truth, and we can forge a new path together." And just as the energy in the air resonated with unyielding ambition, tides began to turn. The council troops stood still, facing the obelisk's radiant power, just as Valath did, allowing the light of truth to wash over them. Hope coursed like wildfire through the battlefield, igniting acceptance within even the darkest corners of allegiance. As I stood there, I felt it, a boundless wave of unity transcending every divide, a dance of understanding blossoming between us all. Together, we charged forward into the unknown, standing resolute against the shadow's dice that sought to suppress our destinies. They were crumbling under the weight of their own lies, unable to withstand the tumult of our resolve. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, the battlefield flickered like a vibrant tapestry woven from both chaos and conviction. A panorama of possibility emerging from the darkness, daring us all to embrace the truth we had fought for, together. Like a phoenix reborn, we charted a new course, armed not just with weapons but with wisdom and truth. And as we surged forth, cascading into the dawn of a new era, I knew we would ignite a change that would ripple through the very fabric of the cosmos. No longer defined by oppression, we would rise as architects of our destiny. Together, we'd unveil a magnificent dawn, and in that moment, the galaxy held its breath watching as we broke the chains and soared into the core of something profound, a legacy of transformation reborn. And with certainty illuminating our very souls, I felt that the truth, our truth, was finally ours to behold. The dust of the battlefield had settled, though tension still crackled alongside the remnants of our struggle. Jarek and I stood amid the desolation, the air infused with the lingering electricity of what had transpired. The light of the obelisk pulsed rhythmically around us, casting its soft glow on the gathered crowd once afraid, now emboldened with newfound conviction. This was a turning point. The air buzzed with the promise of transformation. Valath, the former council leader, stood glaring beneath the weight of our reckoning, yet I recognized a subtle shift within him. I stepped forward, propelled not by animosity, but a desperation for understanding. "Valath," I said, my voice steady, "this is your chance to change the future. The alliance is shifting, and we need leaders who can embrace the truth, not smother it in shadows." He remained silent for a heartbeat, eyes narrowing. Yet I could sense his resolve waning beneath the weight of the overwhelming tide of truth radiating around him. The citizens gathered closer, looming together like pillars of resolve, iron-clad determination shining vibrantly as they awaited the loose threads of his empire to unravel. I spent a lifetime in the council's embrace. Valath finally spoke, voice edged with uncertainty. "What would you have me do? Am I not too tainted by my past to embrace this new direction?" "No," Jarek interjected, stepping into the orb of light. "You are bound by your past, but this is your opportunity to reshape it. Choose transformation over tyranny. We all make mistakes, Valath. The choice is now yours. Choose wisely, Valath," echoed the Nyxian elder, her ethereal presence mingling with the gathering light. "Forgiveness begins with the truth being unveiled, and only then can you help us mend what has long been broken." All around us, expressions mirrored the hopefulness igniting within. The truth we unveiled had unraveled the council's fabric of deceit. The threads were now forging something new. My heart accelerated at the thought that we could truly build a bridge to a shared future. The crowd pressed closer, energy coursing through them as they formed a living wall of defiance against the darkness. "Will you lead us, Valath?" I asked gently, pleading for him to reconsider the burden of his past sins. "Will you be the architect of change?" Silence hung heavily, air thick with anticipation, as Valath's hesitation sparked doubt among his soldiers, those loyal to an autocrat beginning to fall from grace. They exchanged glances, contemplating their own choices, their resolve wavering. As they looked from their commander to the vulnerable yet resolute faces of the crowd, the weight of history began to dissolve like wisps of smoke. With firm resolution building within me, I raised my pulse pistol, not in threat, but as a symbol of our determination. This is how we take back our future. This is how we reclaim our voice. Justice calls for all who seek it, and every life matters. The flames of rebellion flickered brightly as warriors were forged in fires of perseverance, compelling them to rally us against the darkness now spilling from Valath's receding power. Fear ebbed, held under the sway of collective hope, and our voices rose like a symphony. Finally, Valath's demeanor shifted, uncertainty morphing into reluctant acceptance. "Very well," he uttered, shoulders loosening as he began stepping forward. "I will join you, but know this, change will not be easy. My journey has cost lives. Many will resist this direction. But I wish to mend the rift I created, to help us restore balance." The crowd erupted in a storm of hope, exchanging joyous glances. We could rebuild, reclaim lost futures. As our energy surged, I felt a powerful conviction anchoring us to this moment. "Then let this be the beginning, let's unite." My voice resonated through the air, cascading hopes mingling into palpable energy. "Together, we will pave the path to peace, healing every fracture." And just like that, we surged forward, leaving the remnants of discord in our wake. The battlefield morphed from a site of devastation into a terrain of possibility, as the obelisk illuminated the space ahead. It was almost as if the very fabric of realities shifted beneath our feet, creating a bridge toward the unknown. As I turned to Jerk, determination reflected in his eyes, I felt an unshakable bond, a promise of devotion forming in the fires of rebellion. What had started with frustration and fear had culminated into something far grander than either of us could have imagined. Amidst the ruins, the citizens gathered closer, hungry for what lay ahead. Together, we began to share the whispered histories lost to the shadows, the tales of strife, love, and resilience painted across the vast canvas of our cosmos. We had become storytellers, weaving the truths yet unfurled into a tapestry rich with color and depth. The air buzzed with warmth and urgency, hearts and minds ignited by the fires we lit together. With each experience shared, we dismantled the barriers that had long separated us. Every pulse of energy ignited within us grew louder, a battle cry for transformation, rippling through the streets until it melded with the heartbeat of our worlds. The pulse of renewal coursed through the crowd as we called out to each faction, urging even those shrouded in shadow to emerge. The Nixians stood side by side with the coalition soldiers, thundering together in solidarity. It was a moment of reconciliation woven with the courage of forgiveness. But as the vibrancy of our unity thickened the air, I could sense whispers and doubts. The Guardian Council, remnants of Valath's supporters, still lingered behind a veil of uncertainty, concealed in corridors shrouded with discord. I knew our battle was far from over. Courage lies not in the absence of fear, but in the resolve to face it. I declared, echoing the energy swirling through the crowd. To forge peace, we must confront those still enveloped in shadows. Together, we can heal the fissures that tear apart our worlds. The crowd roared, amplified by those rising from darkness to choose light. The energy grew more fervent than anything I had ever experienced, a magical transcendence bridging our hearts and battles into one. We were ready to ally against the next incursion, even as the remnants of the past clung desperately beneath layers of deception. As we marched forward into the next stage of our journey, I turned to Jerk. We need to find allies, those who support change. The Guardian Council must be held accountable for their actions, but with truth comes the responsibility to rebuild. He nodded, eyes reflecting the fire spilling from within us. And we will find them, Ilara. Together, we will give them a choice a brighter future beckons, one worth fighting for. As we pushed deeper into the heart of the newly forged unity, I felt hope emanating from every face surrounding us. A newfound sense of belonging binding us closer than ever. And as the sun began to set on the horizon, casting a palette of beauty across our world, I felt the heart of the galaxy beating faster, ready to embrace a new dawn. We had carved our path through the shadows, and now it was time to light the way forward, to unearth the truth, to shape a world where love and compassion reigned supreme. Hand in hand with Jerk, I committed to the journey ahead, brimming with the knowledge that the future was ours to redefine. Together, we would set forth into the unknown, facing challenges that awaited us all. United, emboldened by every story told, instilled with the strength of shared conviction, we embraced the horizon, ready to claim our destinies and illuminate the very fabric of our cosmos with undeniable truth. And as we stepped toward the dawn, every heartbeat whispered, "Together,